The world of Dead by Daylight is a dark place. It brings together monsters from all kinds of horror stories. We have seen movie slashers, video game monsters, and original killers. They all serve a dark force called the Entity. The evil within is a perfect fit for this scary universe. Its story is all about psychological horror. It messes with your mind. The game's world is built from nightmares and broken memories. This is very similar to how the Entity creates its realms. The Entity feeds on strong emotions like fear and desperation. The evil within is filled with these feelings. Its characters are always fighting for their sanity in a world that does not make sense. Bringing the evil within into Dead by Daylight would be a dream for horror fans. The game's main villain, Ruvik, is a master of mental torture. He controls a twisted world born from his own pain. This makes him a perfect candidate to become one of the Entity's killers. He already knows how to create fear. He already knows how to break people's minds. His arrival would not just add another monster to the roster, it would introduce a new style of horror. It would be less about jump scares and more about getting under your skin. It would make you question what is real and what is just a trick of the mind. The themes of survival in both games are very similar. In Dead by Daylight, survivors must use their wits to escape. They fix generators and open gates while a killer hunts them. In The Evil Within, Sebastian Castellanos must use his skills to survive a nightmare world. He fights monsters and solves puzzles. He is always low on resources and under pressure. This shared feeling of being hunted makes the two worlds a perfect match. The constant tension and the need to be smart to survive connect them. A chapter based on The Evil Within would feel right at home with the other terrifying chapters in the game. This new chapter would bring a fresh wave of psychological dread. Dead by Daylight already has killers that are scary in different ways. Some are strong, some are fast, and some are stealthy. Ruvik would be a killer who attacks the mind. He would make survivors feel unsafe everywhere. He would make them doubt their own eyes and ears. This is a special kind of fear that is not seen much in the game yet. It would create new challenges for players. It would force them to adapt to a killer who fights with illusions and mental attacks. This is why The Evil Within is not just a good fit. It is a necessary one for the future of horror in Dead by Daylight. The new killer would be called the Tormentor. This is Ruvik, the mastermind behind the horrors of Beacon Mental Hospital. He would not be a loud, roaring monster. He would be a quiet, chilling presence. Ruvik appears as a tall, pale figure. He wears a tattered, off-white hooded robe that covers most of his body. The hood is pulled low, hiding his face in shadows. His skin is covered in burns and scars from a fire in his past. You can see these marks on his hands and parts of his face. He moves with a slow, deliberate grace, almost like he is floating. He does not run. He glides across the map, making him seem unnatural and terrifying. The sounds that follow the Tormentor are just as scary as his looks. He does not have a normal terror radius with a heartbeat. Instead, as he gets closer, survivors hear a mix of unsettling noises. They might hear faint, distorted classical music. Sometimes they will hear whispers in a language they cannot understand. The sound of dripping water or the buzzing of flies could also signal his approach. These sounds are designed to make survivors feel constantly on edge. They will not always know exactly where he is, just that he is near. When he attacks, he lets out a quiet, raspy laugh that sounds like grinding glass. It is a sound that promises pain. Ruvik's physical details are important. His hands are long and bony with dirty fingernails. When he strikes a survivor, he uses a sharp piece of metal he keeps hidden in his sleeve. It looks like a broken surgical tool. His movements are calm and controlled, which makes him even more frightening. He's not a beast acting on instinct. He's a genius who enjoys the fear he creates. He is a puppet master, and the trial is his stage. The Entity has given him a new playground, but he is the one who makes the rules. He is a killer who enjoys the hunt and the slow breakdown of his victim's hope. When he is idle, the Tormentor does not just stand still. He might twitch slightly, as if fighting with his own broken mind. Sometimes his form flickers and distorts for a split second, like a bad TV signal. This shows that he is not entirely stable. He is a being of pure thought and anger, barely held together. Survivors who see this will understand that he is not just a man. He is a living nightmare. His presence in the trial would change the atmosphere completely. It would become a place of mental warfare, where the greatest weapon is a strong will. The Tormentor is here to break that will. The Tormentor's power is all about messing with the minds of the survivors. His main ability is called Mental Collapse. This is a passive power that grows stronger throughout the match. As survivors work on generators, heal others, or cleanse totems, they build up a new meter called mental strain. The more they do these things, the more the meter fills. When a survivor's mental strain meter is full, they enter a state called tormented. While tormented, they see things that are not really there. They might see fake palettes that disappear when they try to use them. They might see other survivors who are actually illusions created by Ruvik. The second part of his power is an active ability called shadowy presence. The Tormentor can choose a generator, a locker, or a vault location and mark it with his power. This mark is invisible to survivors. When a survivor gets close to a marked spot, Ruvik can instantly teleport to it. This makes him incredibly unpredictable. He could be chasing one person on one side of the map and then suddenly appear right next to someone else working on a generator. This power is not just for travel, it is a tool for creating fear. Survivors will never feel safe because the Tormentor could be anywhere, watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. When a survivor is in the tormented state, the world changes for them. The colors of the map become dull and grey. They might hear Ruvik's laughter, even when he is far away. The biggest effect is on their perception. Illusions of the Tormentor will sometimes appear and walk towards them, only to vanish before reaching them. This makes it hard to know if the real killer is approaching or if it is just a trick. To get rid of the tormented state, a survivor must find a special object on the map, a small, ornate mirror. Looking into the mirror will calm their mind and reset their mental strain meter, but it takes time and leaves them vulnerable. These two abilities work together to create a constant state of paranoia. Mental collapse slowly wears down the survivor's sanity. Shadowy presence allows the Tormentor to capitalize on their fear with sudden appearances. A good Tormentor player will learn to use these powers to control the entire map. They can pressure multiple generators at once. They can cut off escape routes before a chase even begins. Survivors will have to communicate and stay alert. They will need to learn to distinguish between what is real and what is a figment of Ruvik's twisted imagination. It is a new kind of challenge that focuses less on looping and more on psychological survival. The Tormentor's add-ons would change how his powers work. They would allow players to focus on different parts of his kit. Some add-ons would make his illusions more powerful. Others would improve his teleportation ability. For example, a common add-on could be a tarnished silver loop. This would make the illusions of the Tormentor appear more frequently for survivors in the tormented state. It would make it even harder for them to know when the real killer is coming. This simple change would increase the psychological pressure without making him physically stronger. It enhances the core idea of his power to create confusion and fear. A rarer add-on could be the cracked music box. This add-on would affect his terror radius. When a survivor is tormented, they would hear the distorted classical music all the time, no matter how far away the Tormentor is. This makes it impossible for them to use sound to track his location. They would be constantly on edge, hearing the music and not knowing if he is right behind them or across the map. This forces them to rely only on their sight, which is already being tricked by his illusions. It is a powerful tool for keeping survivors guessing and preventing them from feeling safe anywhere. An ultra-rare add-on could be Ruvik's severed hand. This would dramatically change his shadowy presence ability. With this add-on, when the Tormentor teleports to a marked location, he leaves behind a temporary illusion of himself at his original spot. This illusion would stand still for a few seconds before fading away. This could trick survivors into thinking he is still there, giving him time to get the drop on someone else. It is a high-level mind game. It rewards players who can think ahead and plan their movements carefully. It turns his teleportation from a simple transport tool into a complex deception tactic. Another interesting add-on could be the patient's lost diary. This would be an uncommon add-on that changes how mental strain works. Survivors who rescue another survivor from a hook would gain a large amount of mental strain. This would create a difficult choice for survivors. Do they risk going into the tormented state to save a friend? It would discourage overly altruistic plays. and force teams to be more strategic about who takes risks. All of these add-ons are designed to enhance the psychological aspect of the Tormentor's gameplay. They offer different ways to break down the survivor's confidence and control the flow of the trial. The new survivor would be Sebastian Castellanos, the detective who survived the nightmare of Beacon. He would look like he does in the first game. He would be wearing his detective outfit, a white button-up shirt with a black vest, a loose tie, and dark trousers. His clothes would be dirty and worn, showing the struggles he has been through. He has a tired, determined look on his face. He is not a young, hopeful survivor. He is a man who has seen true horror and has come out the other side. His appearance tells a story of pain and resilience. He is a fighter, not a victim, ready to face whatever the entity throws at him. Sebastian's first perk would be called Hard-Boiled. This perk is connected to his experience as a detective who has seen it all. When Sebastian is injured, he becomes more focused. The sounds of his grunts of pain are reduced by a significant amount. Also, the pools of blood he leaves behind are less frequent. This makes it harder for the killer to track him when he is hurt. It allows him to slip away and hide more effectively after taking a hit. This perk represents his ability to push through pain and keep a level head even in the most dangerous situations. It is a perk for players who like to play stealthy, even after being discovered. His second perk would be Detective's Hunch. This perk reflects his skills at finding clues and solving puzzles. Every time a generator is completed, the auras of any generators, chests and totems within a certain range are revealed to him for a few seconds. This gives him valuable information about the map. He can use this knowledge to plan his next move or to help his team find important objectives. It is a powerful information perk that rewards teams for making progress. It shows his ability to assess a situation and quickly figure out what needs to be done next, just like a real detective at a crime scene. His third perk is called Second Wind. This perk is inspired by his incredible will to survive against all odds. After being unhooked or recovering from the dying state, Second Wind activates. The next time he is put into the dying state, he can recover by himself, one time per trial. When he gets back up, he suffers from the broken status effect for a short time, meaning he cannot be healed. This perk is a last-ditch effort. It gives him one more chance to get back into the fight when all hope seems lost. It represents his refusal to give up, no matter how grim the situation looks. It is a testament to his unbreakable spirit. So, the new map would be the iconic Beacon Mental Hospital. It'd be an indoor map, filled with these long dark corridors and decaying rooms. The atmosphere would be heavy and oppressive, honestly. The lights would flicker all the time, and you'd hear these strange, unsettling sounds echoing through the halls. Sometimes it's distant screams, the clatter of medical equipment, or even the soft weeping of unseen spirits. The entity has recreated this place from Ruvik's memories, so it's become a twisted version of the real hospital. You'd see walls covered in strange symbols and bloody handprints, and the air would be thick with dust and the smell of antiseptic and decay. There'd be several important areas to explore. The main lobby, for instance, would be a large open space with an overturned reception desk and scattered patient files. It's a dangerous area with very little cover. If you go deeper, you'd find the patient wards, which are these long hallways lined with empty rooms. Some doors would be open, showing off rusty bed frames and padded walls. These corridors would be a proper maze, easy to get lost in. Now, the basement. Oh, that's truly terrifying. It would house the old morgue with body storage lockers and operating tables, and it's even darker and more claustrophobic than the rest of the map. One of the unique features here would be its interactive elements. Certain rooms would have special visual effects. For example, in the main hall, a giant bloody eye might suddenly appear on the ceiling, watching survivors before fading away. In some corridors, the walls might seem to stretch or breathe. These effects are just illusions, but they'd be very distracting and scary, honestly. They really add to the feeling that the map itself is alive and working with the killer. Traversing the hospital would be nerve-wracking, since you never know what you might see around the next corner. The layout of Beacon Mental Hospital would be designed for mind games, with loads of tight corners and blind spots, perfect for a stealthy killer like the Tormentor. There'd be multiple floors, all connected by creaky staircases, which creates verticality in chases and allows for interesting escape routes and ambush opportunities. Generators would be placed in memorable locations, like the creepy children's ward or the director's office, which is filled with strange research notes. Surviving on this map would take more than just knowing the layout. It would require courage and a strong mind to resist the horrors within its walls. Cosmetics are, well, a big part of Dead by Daylight, and this chapter would have some absolutely amazing options. For the Tormentor, a special skin could be the Administrator. This one would show Ruvik as he appeared in some parts of The Evil Within, wearing a clean white lab coat. He'd look more human and less monstrous, which honestly is almost scarier. It really represents the cold, calculating scientist he once was. Another cool cosmetic could be Subject R1, showing him in a patient's gown, with even more bandages covering his body. That one reflects his time as a test subject in his own family's experiments. For Sebastian, the cosmetic options would reflect his journey. A hospital gown outfit would show him in the clothes he wore at the very beginning of the game, when he first woke up in the nightmare. It's a simple, tattered gown that really shows his vulnerability. Another great choice would be his casual outfit from later in the game, called Off-Duty Detective, featuring a leather jacket and jeans. This gives him a more rugged, ready-for-anything look. These cosmetics would let players pick which version of Sebastian they want to play as, from the confused victim to the hardened survivor. The chapter would also include a legendary skin. For the Tormentor, a legendary skin could transform him into the Keeper. That's the iconic enemy from The Evil Within with a safe for a head. This skin would change his model, his weapon, to a giant meat tenderizer, and even his sounds. It's a huge treat for fans of the game. He'd have a heavy, clanking walk and a deep metallic roar when he attacks. Honestly, it's like getting a whole new killer. It's a fantastic way to celebrate the source material and give players a completely different look for their favorite new monster. Another legendary skin could be for Sebastian, changing him into his partner, Joseph Oder. He'd have his own voice lines, and of course his signature glasses and detective suit. This would let players bring another beloved character from The Evil Within into the fog. The possibilities for charms would be endless too. There could be a charm of a green gel jar, a small model of the STEM machine, or even a tiny version of the Keeper's head. These small details would make the chapter feel even more authentic and give players more ways to show their love for the evil within. A killer's mori is, well, their ultimate expression of power and cruelty. It's the final dramatic kill they perform on the last survivor. The Tormentor's mori would be a terrifying spectacle of psychological horror. It wouldn't be just a simple, brutal attack. Instead, it's a slow, methodical process designed to break the survivor's mind before ending their life. The mori would begin with the Tormentor grabbing the survivor by the head. The screen would flash, and suddenly, the survivor would find themselves in a completely different place. They'd be standing in a long, narrow corridor inside Ruvik's mind. The corridor would be made of cold, white tiles, just like a hospital. The survivor would be forced to their knees, unable to move. The Tormentor wouldn't be in front of them. Instead, a ghostly image of Ruvik would appear at the far end of the hallway. He'd start to walk slowly towards the survivor. As he gets closer, the walls of the corridor would start to bleed. Strange, fleshy growths would sprout from the floor and ceiling. The sounds of whispers and screams would fill the air, getting louder and louder. The survivor can only watch in terror as this nightmare world closes in around them. As Ruvik gets just a few feet away, his form would begin to change. His body would glitch and distort violently. He'd grow larger and his face would twist into a mask of pure rage. He'd raise his hand, and a sharp, jagged spike of dark energy would form in his palm. The survivor would try to crawl away, but they'd be frozen in place by fear. The world around them would become a chaotic mess of blood, flesh, and noise. The psychological torment would be at its peak. The survivor isn't just being killed, their very sanity is being ripped apart. In the final moment, Ruvik would thrust his hand forward. The spike of energy would pierce the survivor's chest, but there'd be no blood. Instead, the survivor's body would start to glitch and break apart, just like Ruvik's form did moments before. They'd dissolve into a cloud of red particles and static, as if they were nothing more than a corrupted piece of data in his world. The Tormentor would then lower his hand, and the nightmare corridor would fade away, leaving him standing over the spot where the survivor once was. The kill is clean, digital, and utterly terrifying. The addition of the Evil Within chapter would, honestly, bring a much-needed dose of psychological horror to Dead by Daylight. While the game already has plenty of scary killers, most of them rely on physical threats. They chase you with chainsaws, axes, or claws. The Tormentor, though, would be different. He'd fight a battle on two fronts, the physical world and the mental world. This would introduce a whole new layer of strategy and fear to the game. Survivors wouldn't just have to worry about being caught, they'd have to worry about losing their minds. This would make every trial against him a unique and mentally draining experience. This chapter would offer something new for everyone. For killer mains, the Tormentor would provide a complex and rewarding playstyle. Mastering his abilities would take careful planning and a deep understanding of psychological warfare. It's a chance to outsmart survivors, not just overpower them. For survivor mains, it would present a fresh challenge. They'd have to learn new ways to cope with a killer who attacks their perception of reality. Survivors would need to communicate better and trust their instincts, even when their eyes and ears are lying to them. It would shake up the meta and force players to think differently. The new map, Beacon Mental Hospital, would be more than just a new playground. It would be an active participant in the horror. Its unsettling atmosphere and dynamic visual effects would ensure that no one ever feels completely safe. It's a map that tells a story of pain and madness. Paired with Sebastian Castellanos, a survivor who really embodies resilience, the chapter would create a powerful narrative. It'd be a story of a broken mind versus an unbreakable will. This clash of themes would make for some of the most intense and memorable matches in the game's history. Ultimately, the Evil Within chapter would be a celebration of a different kind of horror. It would prove that fear isn't just about jump scares or gore. It can be quiet, subtle, and insidious. It can be the feeling of not knowing what's real. It can be the slow erosion of your sanity. By bringing Ruvik's mind games into the fog, Dead by Daylight would be expanding its definition of horror. It'd be giving players a new nightmare to explore, a new fear to conquer. And in the world of Dead by Daylight, a new fear is always a welcome and exciting thing for everyone.